Welcome back to Project GoodSpeed, guys. On today's video, we're going to be repairing the leather seats here for the little hatchback, and we have GSR Acura Integra leather seats here with some terrible rips, terrible holes, terrible seams, and just not very good leather. So let's get started. Now I picked these leather seats up from Facebook Marketplace, and I'm in the process of restoring the interior, replacing just replacing the entire interior on the hatchback, and this is the best I could find. To be honest, as I mentioned before in my other videos, I'm not really keen on keeping these for too long, but for 150 bucks for the whole set, mainly the rear ones, to be honest, that was good enough for me. And also, I could give it a shot and see if I can repair these, at least for the meantime. And let me show you guys what I've done so far. Basically, after I brought them here in my other hatchback. Yeah, I know there's stuff in here, damn it. I can see it. You don't need to remind me. I basically just cleaned them up, and they didn't look all that bad. I don't expect this to do much, to be honest. It's kind of a lost cause, but the front ones, you know, no matter what I've done, they still don't look all that great. So far what I've done is I've used Griot's Garage 3-in-1 leather spray, which I think has cleaner, protectant, and conditioner on it for leather applications. And as you pretty much can expect from the B-roll of when I got these seats, it really wasn't all that helpful. The leather condition on these seats is just super dry, and I needed something more, more focused on fixing that particular problem. So there you have it, guys. Check it out. This is what they look like with the protectant, cleaner, and conditioner. They do feel a little bit drier. You hear that? I guess there's less grease and dirt there. So those, I think, are gonna look really great. And I'll, add some B-roll on what they look like here, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna look super great because those are the ones I actually cared about, and these are just projects, but those should clean up nicely. So I moved on to using some actual single conditioner, and I bought that for 20 bucks, I think, something like that, at AutoZone. I'll show you guys here which product I use. I ran out. I basically just use all of it. During the application process, they look great, but after the first coat, you are supposed to let these sit overnight, or at least a couple hours, and I wiped it off, and they didn't look like I'd expect them to, which I kind of expected the leather to pretty much rejuvenate back to life, nice and smooth and stuff, but it's still pretty tough. So I went ahead and I just applied a second coat, and it still didn't give me that much confidence. After the second coat, I basically just let them sit for about a week because I honestly forgot and I had other things going on. But look at it. These are the rear seats. These are just, you can't even tell. I mean, they're still kind of tough because this is the kind of texture I wanted, actual leather. This is just, it's rough, I'll be honest, but it's, better than nothing. It's still pretty tough, but some areas feel a little bit softer, but overall it's still pretty tough. So looks like the oil didn't really work all that well. The second coat, to be honest, I kind of forgot to remove, so it actually stayed on after a couple days, and this is what they look like. It's been about a week, I think. I've been busy, okay? So now that I've cleaned them, I've applied the 3-in-1. I have applied 2 coats of the oil. I'm gonna go ahead and just try to repair these cracks and these rips. Probably to no avail, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna work, but we're gonna give it a shot. And I'm gonna be using Coco Nix's leather and vinyl repair kit, which comes with a piece of fabric cloth and just containers to apply the compound. Comes with 2 middle-sized containers of black compound and a small little container of white compound, which kind of is just to get the shade right of whatever leather you have. Now the second step is this recoloring balm, and I'm basically going to be using this to basically recolor the entire seat so that it's all one uniform color. I think that the compound in the Coco Nix is supposed to be dyeable, so I'll be able to get it all one color so you don't notice any of my mistakes. As you guys can see, the fabric is still intact and there's really nothing to get under. So I don't really need to insert any fabric in there. I just gotta apply a compound, and hopefully that binds well. Why do you sand? I have no idea. Kit comes with this little container, and then you just pour the compound in it, and hopefully I'll get the color matching just right, but I'm not sure. And now we just wipe it down with some alcohol. Okay, already. Is that the right color, you guys? Who cares? I need to fix this. I'll worry about making it pretty later. One thing, I'm not too sure how this will do once it dries up. You know how fabric like this is supposed to flex and move and stretch. I don't know if this will tear once I try to stretch it by sitting on it, you know? After I've applied that one over there, I had to adjust the color. It's still a little off, a little too dark, you guys can tell over there. I adjusted again, added more white, and now it's sort of less noticeable. It was peeling a little bit, as like kind of like that area there, right there. I might want to just apply a layer all in this area, but before I get carried away and make it look ugly, I'm gonna try it out in this small corner here. So we're gonna go ahead and apply a small dab of it there. I believe this is the right shade. Now the issue here, right, is, I mean, because it is wet, it might look differently to me. So if I keep adjusting it, I might not be able to get the right shade of it, just because when it's wet, it looks shinier or darker or just more noticeable. And if I keep adding white to it, I might throw it off. So I kind of made it look a little darker than the area it's supposed to be on there. So hopefully I have the right shade, but we won't really know until it's done and dry. We'll go ahead and leave that to dry for a couple hours, and we're gonna move on to this monstrosity over here. Now, as terrible as this might look to repair, I'm thinking it might not be that bad if I can get it to actually sit down, because you can see the fabric here is doing the exact same thing that's doing. So I'll need to put some pressure on this to seal it down right. And I'm thinking this is still gonna be a lot easier to repair than those, because those are all by the seams, and I don't know how I'm gonna get fabric in there. Okay, so for this giant tear here, what I've done is I basically just took a piece of the fabric that they give you, which is quite a lot. The kit provides you with, well, not a lot actually. I think it's that much. What is that? Probably like 10 inches by 10 inches probably. I don't really need all that much. It's just one tear, and it looks to only need one little square. And I think it recommends to do a 1/4 inch extra from the center of the tear. So I think I can make this work. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna layer this inside under it like that, tuck it in. Oh no, I ripped it. Oh, that's bad. Just ignore that tear. That never happened. That was already there actually. So I might have to add another little fabric there. Hopefully I don't break anything. And then I'm gonna apply compound to this upper part so that I can get my fabric to stick to it before I apply the first layer. And I'm just gonna basically give it about 2 hours, I think, for my fabric to adhere to this fabric. I don't need it to be, you know, too adhesive really. I'm gonna put something heavy on it to keep it flat, and then I'm gonna apply the first layer of compound. Well, this is sort of good news. Fabric is staying down. Unfortunately, I have a ripple. Oh man, nothing ever goes as planned. Well, better than nothing. And I also kind of already pre-mixed some compound with what I think is the right shade. But again, we won't know until it dries. I basically had to apply several coats of this compound throughout the course of several hours for them to dry, and hope that that did the trick. So the passenger seat over there basically had, what is it, 1, 2, and 3 major tears that I had to practice on. Some of these holes required a lot of compound, which means it's going to require a lot of time for it to dry, which is why we are moving on to the driver's seat now, because I've done all I can for the passenger seat over there just to dry, and it's gonna have to wait till tomorrow morning so I can apply the second coat. Basically the first coat was just me filling up the hole and try to get everything sort of in the right place. The second coat is me smoothing it out and trying to make this thing look like there is no hole. Look at it, you don't even see where all the holes were. Yeah, you do, look at it. Right there, that giant chucky gash right there. There's another small one right over there. Basically, I'm going to break this down by applying a first coat today and then the second coat tomorrow, so that in the morning I can sand it down, smooth it out, and then apply the finishing coat so I can get rid of any of these valleys that you got here, so you can still see where my fabric of the seat is and where the patch went. Now this disgusting looking thing is, I don't really have too much hopes for it, if I'm being honest. But I mean, it's, you know, it's glued together. I don't know how pretty I can make this look, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it for phase one of the compound for that seat. Now I have to get it applied to this seat. Hopefully I'll have refined my technique a little bit better. And what I did is I sanded the areas off so that I can get rid of any of the flaking leather that was gonna peel off, to just get it to come off altogether, because I'm gonna go ahead and give it a nice application of the compound. But I'm gonna have to go see this fabric here. That doesn't need any of my fabric because it's still intact. This area, I might be able to put some in there, right here. Definitely gonna put some fabric here because it's ripped off, as well as here and here. So this area needs fabric, this one might. There's a whole chunk missing in there. Just add a little bit of that. Careful. Now we're moving on to the driver's seat. Like I said, I've applied some rubber foam here that I also purchased on Amazon. I need to cut out 1, 2, 3 patches. This little square should be enough to cover this little area here. The fabric is really coming undone. A little too easy, but I think I got it. Oh, still need this one here. And that's how it's done. That's the first step. Fabric is in the hole, and then the next step is gonna be applying the compound. Now it is at this point that I should point out that if you guys have not been seeing my channel, I'm Jay, and I mostly just show you guys how not to do stuff. Occasionally I get stuff right, you know, here and there. I do know some stuff, but this is one of those things where, you know, you really need practice and a lot of experience in. But hey, this kit cost 20 something bucks, and these seats were basically free. So the next step is probably gonna look and be not entirely accurate or effective, but we're gonna give it a shot, which is basically just applying this goo compound to the underside of my fabric so that it can adhere to these patches of fabric that I added. So then I can go ahead and fill in with the compound. Oh man, this sucks. Okay, fuck it. I don't know if you guys can see here, but on this particular hole here, the fabric raises up. You guys can see when I push down, the glue is kind of like not being pressed down where it should be. I just put a little piece of Ziploc bag and attached it to some tape. And I'm gonna go ahead and just put it over the hole here. And now I'm just realizing I need 2 pieces of tape. But basically I just put it over the hole so that I can compress it down to hopefully seal properly. It's a good idea to just use some alcohol and just wipe off anything that you don't want with compound. That's pretty much the whole process, really. You just lay down some fabric, throw on some compound, and then just try to like smooth it out as best you can. At least that's the first part, because the next part is you're gonna have to wait a couple hours for this compound, this layer to dry, and then come back again to basically even out any crevices that you might have missed or stuff like that. You want to make it look nicer. What I'm going to do is when this dries, I'm going to go ahead and sand it down a little bit with some high grit sandpaper so I can get any of the, like I said, like the spackle looking texture right. I wanted to get it as smooth as I can, so I'm going to smooth it down with some sandpaper and then apply a second layer. After I finished adding the last layer, I kind of just sanded it down, and I did my best to get it smooth and focus on certain areas that were a little bit more rougher and areas that would need more compound, so that I can get it as flat as possible, so that I can see, more importantly, where any holes were in the previous layer, so I can add more on top of it and make it smooth as possible. So once I did that, I just went ahead and I mixed the compound that I had left, and basically on this one I tried to get the color more accurate, because on the previous one I kind of messed it up a little bit and it was a little too dark. But for this one I went a little grayer because my leather here is pretty old, so I had to really dull it down. But now I think I've got a much more smoother look to the compound, and I think it's gonna look not that great, to be honest. Certain spots are just, you know, beyond help. Other ones don't look that bad though. But that's gonna take a couple hours for it to set. So I will be back later.
2 hours later.
And we are back. I had a terrible game, so we're gonna get right back into it. The seats have already dried. I just finished sanding down the previous coat because I'm gonna go ahead and just run out the compound and see if I can get it as smooth as possible. This spatula here is bigger and more flexible, so I'll be able to really push down and get a flat edge as opposed to using the tiny little one and getting all the strokes and brushes. I'm gonna use this to basically try to fix the bigger gash that's in the middle. Hopefully it pans out because I'm gonna be running out of compound by the time I finish with this round. Now, this time I sanded with 400 grit sandpaper. I didn't really use a heavy brush stroke on it, and I kind of just brushed it all off in one direction, because if you do it in like a circle or back and forth, the rubber compound kind of just peels off. So you don't want that. And this is as best as I could get it. I mean, it's kind of flat, you know, which is good. You can still see the indentation on this one, but if you go over here, it's worse. It doesn't look perfect, but you know, good enough. At this point, I am a little worried about the sanding that I did. I kind of went a little overboard because the size of the paper that I used, and I kind of like scuffed the edges around all the holes. I've already sanded this one down as smooth as I can, sort of. This one, I might need to go over this area again, but I've already sanded all the other ones as well there, and they are pretty smooth. Obviously not this part. But hopefully when I, stain the seats, it'll all be one color and it'll hardly be noticeable. Now let's see if this brush does anything. Well, it isn't all that pretty to look at, if I'm being honest. Yeah, definitely not. Well, it's good to know. Look at that solution here. It's coming out okay, I think. I got a little carried away. I'm spreading this everywhere. I think I got the shade just right, and I'm gonna make it count because there is no more. And this thing is peeling here, so why not? What do you think? Well, I thought I got the shade right. I think it's right. It's just, like, it's shiny right now. Let's see if I can give you guys a quick 30-second recap. So basically, I applied the first layer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just sand this down until it's sort of smooth to my liking. I've already matched the paint to close enough, and I'm gonna really lay it on here so I can spread it out. Little paintbrush spatula looking thing is pretty good for small repairs like this, but the bigger spatula is definitely better. You get a much more flat surface to work with and a nice even distribution of the compound. And you don't have to worry about any streaks or anything like that. Then you just take some rubbing alcohol and kind of just like smooth out the edges. You can see I've already wiped them down, and I kind of like, it helps to kind of like taper off any of the compound. Instead of getting a line, you get like a nice blend around the edges right there. Now, of course, obviously you're gonna have this patch there that's gonna be visible, but at least you won't have that visible. Looks like California highway roads. I just noticed that the other way. It literally looks like California highway roads. And we are done. Check it out. This is the final product. I gotta say, it doesn't look that bad. Like I said, I used the last layer to focus on both the color matching and the smoothness of it. And that longer plastic scraper really made a difference, because I don't really have any kind of rough edges except for this giant gash here. But that was gonna look bad either way. But it doesn't look that bad, if I'm being honest. All that's left to do now is basically just use the lip balm that the recoloring balm that I bought from Amazon. I actually already started doing the, what is that, the driver's seat? Yeah, the driver's seat, and it doesn't look that bad. I think it's gonna look great when it's done. Look at this. I gotta say, that one doesn't look that bad, as well as this one here. I think this was pretty good. You can still see where the Color is still a little off, but the coloring balm should get rid of that and make it all one uniform color. This one has already been treated, and as you can see, it's all shiny and stuff. I'll try to get some better shots here. I think the camera is not really picking up because of the darkness and the light is throwing the settings off, but it doesn't look that bad except for maybe this part. Well, I mean, this part doesn't look that bad. Check it out. Look, you can still see it. But, you know, if you're looking at the inside of the car, sort of not noticeable. I mean, from this angle over here, you can't notice anything. I mean, the goal was never to make them perfect. You know, this is just a quick fix so I can throw them into the hatchback and just be on my way. And I gotta say, they don't look as bad as I thought they would. So there you have it, guys. That's gonna be it. The seats are done. I have finished this one, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do that one over there with the coloring balm, and hopefully I'll get some pretty good shots of what they look like here. And like I said, the kit really does come in handy for, you know, quick fixes like this. For 20 bucks, it's a bargain for the seats, basically free, and all I had to do is, you know, just make do with the fact that some of these are just beyond repairing, you know, like that. There's a mosquito in here. This balm is a little tricky. I don't recommend using it too sporadically, because you're supposed to apply it onto the surface and then use the sponge to kind of like spread it out, and then wait 10 minutes and use the buffing pad to remove any excess. But if you cover a large area, the balm kind of sticks to the surface and it kind of tends to dry a little bit, makes it a little difficult, and it doesn't look as good. So sections at a time is much better. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and just finish doing these up, and we will check back later. And here they are. Check them out. Look at these things. They look pretty decent, if I'm being honest. I took them from a solid 1 out of 10 to like a 2, maybe a 3 out of 10. Some of those patches really weren't all that great. 2 of them came out pretty good. I think, what is this, the passenger seat? Ah, of course it'd be the passenger seat. Yeah, the passenger seat looks pretty good up here, but it's got that terrible gash on the bottom. And the driver's seat is the opposite. This part looks ugly because it's got the bumpy California highway style seats and the somewhat decent seat. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied. You know, like I said, solid 3 out of 10. I'm surprised they actually look this good, if I'm being honest. I mean, not that this is good, but this is better, you know? Pretty much gonna be it for this video. I took them from tears, I applied the compound, and I was really careful on the final try to get them as best, you know, color matching as I could and smooth as I could. Ultimately, I was gonna, you know, stain them with the recoloring balm, so it really didn't matter all that much, but I still wanted to get it as close as I could to the actual color. I probably am gonna have to buy another round of the balm because I didn't have enough for the rear seats. I don't know if I just didn't do it right, but some of these parts kind of look not that great. It kind of dries on you when you run out, and certain parts didn't get enough of it. So I'm gonna have to redo it. But ultimately, I'm pretty satisfied with it. Highly recommend this kit. I'll put everything down in the description below, as well as any other stuff that I used, and any updates in the future in case this doesn't last, you know. So until next time, guys, take care and good speed. We out.